The following is a list of 19 of the most notoriously haunted cemeteries in New York. Number 1. Albany Rural Cemetery. Established in 1884, Albany Rural Cemetery in Albany, New York, spans over 460 acres and is renowned as one of the most scenic cemeteries in the United States. Visitors report witnessing shadow figures and apparitions, as well as hearing disembodied voices and screams late at night. Albany Rural Cemetery has been the site of several violent suicides over the years. Mary Douglas Scott, who was found dead after drinking arsenic, and a woman named Anna T. Osterhout, who died of a self-inflicted bullet wound next to the tomb of her late husband. Both women are now said to haunt the cemetery, in addition to a number of other unidentified men and women. Another spirit believed to haunt the old burial ground is a woman known as the Gray Lady, whose body was found in a nearby lake, as well as another spirit of a young woman wearing a prom dress. Some visiting the cemetery additionally report hearing the disembodied sounds of a beautiful female voice humming, while also feeling the presence of an unseen entity. Others have even reported encountering a spectral hound with glowing red eyes, as well as mysterious glowing orbs that appear to float through the cemetery late at night. Number 2. Bayside Cemetery. Founded in 1865, Bayside Cemetery in Queens, New York is a historic Jewish cemetery that spans over 12 acres and is home to over 35,000 burial plots. Visitors report witnessing apparitions as well as experiencing other unexplained paranormal phenomena such as strange odors, disembodied voices, whispers, and feelings of paranoia that subside upon leaving the location. Paranormal investigators also report experiencing issues with electronic devices, such as camera and flashlight batteries being unexpectedly drained. During the mid-1900s, Bayside Cemetery fell into a state of disrepair and neglect and saw many tombstones and other monuments fall victim to vandalism. In 2012, a non-profit organization called the Community Association for the Jewish At-Risk Cemeteries began restoring the cemetery and continues to maintain and preserve it. Number 3. Caldwell Cemetery. Caldwell Cemetery in Lake George, New York, is named after an Irish immigrant named James Caldwell, who founded the town of Caldwell in 1810, which later became the town of Lake George. It is said to be haunted by the spirits of colonial soldiers who were killed in a smallpox outbreak in the early 1810s. Many visitors report witnessing the apparitions of former soldiers wearing military uniforms, as well as hearing the disembodied sounds of musket fire and smelling gunpowder. Others have reported feeling sudden cold spots and drops in temperature, as well as feeling a strange presence as if being watched by an unseen entity. Number 4. Cold Springs Cemetery. Established in 1840, Cold Springs Cemetery in Lockport, New York is said to be haunted by the spirit of a young woman who was kidnapped and murdered after being picked up hitchhiking. Visitors to the cemetery report witnessing the woman's apparition as well as experiencing cold spots and feeling the presence of an unseen entity. Motorists driving by the cemetery at night claim to experience strange issues with electronic devices such as radio static and car batteries dying without explanation. Others have also reported being approached by a young woman asking for a ride, who then mysteriously vanishes. Cold Springs Cemetery was listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 2004. Number 5. Dewittville Cemetery. Dewittville Cemetery in Dewittville, New York, was used from 1833 until 1918 by the Chautauqua County Poorhouse to bury deceased residents with no family. According to local historians, grave markers were not used in the cemetery until 1869, and many men and women were buried in unmarked graves. Their restless spirits are said to haunt the cemetery at night, where investigators report witnessing glowing orbs and apparitions, as well as experiencing other unexplained paranormal phenomena, such as cold spots and feeling a strange presence. Number 6. East Otto Cemetery. East Otto Cemetery in East Otto, New York, is said to be haunted by the spirits of two headless women whose apparitions are often seen by visitors at night. Others report witnessing the apparition of a man wielding an axe, as well as hearing the disembodied sounds of women's screams. Although many East Otto locals have reported witnessing these three spirits, the reason for their presence is unknown. Number 7. Forest Park Cemetery. Established in 1897, Forest Park Cemetery is sometimes referred to as Pinewood Cemetery, and among superstitious locals has earned the nickname the Gateway to Hell. Visitors report witnessing apparitions and shadow figures at night, as well as a pair of glowing red eyes that appear to be watching for trespassers. One common urban legend claims that an article in Time magazine was written declaring Forest Park Cemetery among the most haunted in the United States, but this claim was later proven to be false. Number 8. Goodleberg Cemetery. Established in 1811, Goodleberg Cemetery in South Wales, New York, is said to be haunted by the spirit of a woman in white, whose apparition is allegedly seen by visitors at night. Investigators also report experiencing other paranormal activity, such as cold spots, disembodied voices, and the disembodied sounds of a baby crying. The ghost of a local man named Dr. Albert Speaker is also said to haunt the cemetery, urging trespassers to leave. According to legend, Dr. Speaker once lived in a large house overlooking Goodleberg Cemetery, where he made a living performing illegal abortions. After performing an abortion, he would dispose of the fetal remains somewhere within the cemetery, where it said his spirit now lingers to prevent the living from discovering his wicked secrets. Dr. Speaker allegedly died of a heart attack in 1948, shortly after local police began investigating claims of his illegal activity. However, many believe that he committed suicide to avoid punishment for his crimes. Number 9. Gurnsey Hollow Cemetery. Gurnsey Hollow Cemetery in Frewsburg, New York was established in the early 1800s as a children's cemetery and is said to be haunted by a number of young children who died in a smallpox outbreak. Visitors also report encountering the spirit of a lady in white, as well as the spirit of a young, mentally handicapped girl who was stoned to death in the cemetery during the 1800s. Many also report witnessing other strange apparitions and orbs at night, as well as feeling a strange presence or hearing disembodied voices, moans, and the sounds of children playing. Number 10. Historic Vale Cemetery. Established in 1857, the historic Vale Cemetery in Schenectady, New York, spans over 100 acres and contains over 33,000 burial plots. Visitors at the cemetery report witnessing apparitions and shadow figures, while also hearing the sounds of disembodied voices and whispers. Paranormal investigators who enter the cemetery late at night often report witnessing strange glowing orbs and flashing lights, as well as hearing the sounds of a choir singing in the empty church nearby. Number 11. Hollenbeck Cemetery. Visitors at Hollenbeck Cemetery in Ellicott, New York, report encountering the spirit of a woman in white, as well as the spirit of a headless man on horseback. Others report witnessing glowing orbs and hearing the sounds of disembodied voices and children crying. In 1995, several headstones were stolen from the cemetery, which many believe may be the cause of some paranormal activity at this location. In 1996, a memorial was placed by the Township of Ellicott commemorating those men and women whose graves were vandalized. Number 12. Holy Sepulchre Cemetery. Established in 1871, Holy Sepulchre Cemetery is a 332-acre Catholic cemetery located in Rochester, New York, with over 100,000 burial plots. It is also the final resting place of a man named Francis Tumblety, who was suspected by many of being Jack the Ripper. Visitors at this location report witnessing unidentified shadow figures and apparitions, especially in the children's section. Other visitors report feeling sudden cold spots or drops in temperature, as well as feeling the presence of an unseen entity. Number 13. Jacksonville Rural Cemetery. The Jacksonville Rural Cemetery in Phoenix, New York, is said to be haunted by the spirit of a young woman whose apparition is seen by visitors at night, as well as the spirit of a cat with bright, glowing eyes. Visitors at the cemetery also report feeling cold spots and feeling the presence of an unseen entity. Many also report being drawn to a small stream behind the cemetery, which some claim is due to some type of supernatural energy. Number 14. Montrepose Cemetery. Montrepose Cemetery in Kingston, New York, is said to be haunted by the spirit of a mysterious, long-haired woman whose apparition is often seen by visitors. Investigators in the cemetery at night also report hearing the sounds of disembodied screams, as well as experiencing other paranormal phenomena, such as feeling cold spots and unexplained feelings of fear or dread that subside upon leaving the location. Some claim that the woman haunting Montrepose Cemetery is actually a demon who has the ability to possess or attach itself to visitors. Number 15. Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. Established in 1849 as Tarrytown Cemetery, the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery in Sleepy Hollow, New York, spans over 90 acres and hosts over 45,000 burial plots. It is known for being the final resting place of the American writer Washington Irving, who became famous after writing The Legend of Sleepy Hollow in 1820. The cemetery is said to be haunted by the spirit of a woman known as the Bronze Lady, whose vengeful apparition often appears to visitors who have somehow disrespected her grave. Other urban legends claim that those who sit in the lap of the Bronze Lady's statue will either be blessed or cursed. Number 16. St. Agnes Cemetery of Utica. St. Agnes Cemetery was established in 1851 and is the burial location of many of Utica's original founders and settlers. It is said to be haunted by the spirit of an unidentified woman whose apparition is often accompanied by an infant child. In 1909, 3 young children were lured to the back of the cemetery and shot to death. One child survived the shooting, but the other 2 children are believed to haunt the cemetery where they died. Visitors at St. Agnes Cemetery also report feeling unexplained cold spots, as well as feeling the presence of an unseen entity. Number 17. Stillwater Union Cemetery. Visitors at the Stillwater Union Cemetery in Stillwater, New York, report witnessing strange apparitions and glowing orbs late at night, as well as hearing disembodied voices and whispers, and experiencing feelings of being watched by an unseen entity. Others claim to witness the apparition of a red-haired woman in an 1800s-style dress, while also smelling a strong, flowery perfume. Number 18. St. John's Cemetery. Established in 1879, St. John's Cemetery is a Roman Catholic burial ground in Middle Village, Queens. It is the burial site of dozens of former members of organized crime and mafia families, including Charles Luciano, Joe Colombo, John Gotti, and Vannie Higgins, as well as several New York congressmen and politicians. Visitors at the old cemetery report witnessing apparitions and hearing disembodied voices, as well as experiencing unexplained cold spots and drops in temperature. Number 19. Whitehaven Cemetery. Whitehaven Cemetery in Grand Island, New York was established in 1865. Visitors commonly report witnessing 3 different spirits, as well as several other unidentified apparitions. The first 2 spirits are that of a young girl and a woman who appears to be her mother, and the third is that of a former American soldier who was killed during the Gulf War in the early 1990s and was buried at Whitehaven Cemetery. Many visitors also report feeling cold spots and hearing disembodied voices and footsteps. That concludes my list of 19 of the most notorious haunted cemeteries in New York. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit like and subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for more creepy videos and other content. And if you visited one of these locations, I'd love to hear your stories in the comments. To see my full list of folklore tales and haunted locations in New York, check out the link in the description, and be sure to follow ghostquest.net on social media by clicking the links below. To check out more of my creepy videos, click the thumbnails shown on the screen.